now for our daily focus report, and we head to Armenia. Scars from corruption and mismanagement mark the country's democracy and its environment more than a month after Prime Minister Serzh Sargsyan resigned after pressure from anti-government protests. Open pit mining has left the beautiful Caucasus Mountains pockmarked. Corruption allowed developers to flaunt environmental regulations and locals' rights. This turned out to be the downfall of Sargsyan's administration. Our correspondent, Gulliver Cragg, reports.
LEVON ALIKHANYAN used to run one of the biggest farms in his district. Now he just keeps bees.
It's all I've got left. You know, I used to have 3 sons here working with me, and their wives, doing all kinds of work. They all left when I lost the land.
In 2009, a mining company made a compulsory purchase of LEVON's land and gave him $20,000, a fraction of what he says it was worth. But in Armenia's corrupt court system, a small player like him had no chance.
All we need is the rule of law. We'll handle the rest.
It turned out the compulsory purchases weren't the only problem. Last year, 40% of LEVON's bees died.
There's a river right here, but I'm pouring them water collected elsewhere so that they don't drink from the river, which is poisoned.
LEVON blames the gargantuan Tegut mine, which started producing copper and molybdenum in 2014. Its tailings dam here is supposed to keep toxic waste from entering the water table, but it appears to have leaked, sending lead, arsenic and other toxins into the river. The mining company denies the leak, but has suspended production. Yet the toxins are still affecting fruit trees in the area. LEVON's friend ASHOT is monitoring his with concern.
It's terrible. Last year there was so much of this. Can you see? It's the first sign. The whole orchard is going yellow from the contaminated irrigation water.
ASHOT already had to destroy 350 trees.
This cherry tree used to yield 150 kilos of cherries every year. When we complained to local authorities that the water was poisoned, all they had to say was that the mine's owner is very high up. They meant the president, of course. He's the owner, so what can you do against him? Actually, that's how it was in every area of life, and that's why people rose up and protested so hard against him.
The mine's ownership via various offshore companies is opaque, but ASHOT and LEVON are convinced that Armenia's former leader Serzh Sargsyan had a controlling stake. Most local people opposed Sargsyan, but many hope that the mine will reopen all the same. It provided more than 1,200 jobs after all. Artsrun is one of just a few dozen workers who've been kept on while production is halted.
In this area, only this mine gives people hope for the future. It's really an extremely important employer.
Residents of the neighboring district of Noyemberyan, though, see things differently. In cooperation with activists from the Armenian Ecological Front, they mobilized against a company that wanted to prospect for gold and silver in the area. Leaflets aim to bust myths about the benefits of the industry.
This one shows a myth according to which the mining companies pay a huge amount of taxes, but this is not true. In 2016, they paid 39.1 billion Armenian dollars, which is only 3.5% of the whole state tax revenues.
It's never confirmed that they actually took out from the customs the amount of ore that they declared. They can easily bribe the customs office and take dozens or hundreds of tons, a lot more.
ARTAK GHUSHCHYAN, who runs a cafe in Noyemberyan, thinks the town should focus on other sources of revenue.
I think this town has great potential as a tourist destination. We already have beautiful landscapes, beautiful nature. It's all here. We just need some more financial investments.
One of ARTAK's projects is to develop mountain bike tracks in these highlands, where he says adventure tourism could coexist with traditional lifestyles.
We spent our childhood years here. The locals' main occupation was raising livestock, and it still is. We used to come up here often with our grandparents.
But this is exactly where the mining company wanted to start prospecting. ARTAK sees the Teghut mine, part of which is visible from here, as a warning.
Ultimately, these projects are not beneficial, not even to those who get jobs there. And that's because the income they earn will end up being spent either by them or their children on overcoming the various illnesses caused by pollution.
Campaigners do not expect Armenia's new authorities to suddenly change the country's policy on mining entirely. But they do hope that a more democratic regime will be more prepared to listen to them and to respect due process and environmental regulations.